For decades, of course, Florida State was a prominent contributor to the NFL draft. Maybe not so much here in 2021, but we will certainly run down the prospects with most likely a first rounder for the Noles. It's Florida State Seminoles live here at the Voice of College Football, edition number 104, with Jason Parker from NB6, C6 up top. Yes, Logan Robinson from Nole Game Day down below. And we hope to be joined by big game James Coleman here soon, who will best speak to the unfortunate passing of Geno Hayes this week at the age of 33. And their paths crossed on the playing field at Florida State in the locker room. And then I'm certainly sure many times since then. So we'll give most of that territory to James, and we'll hit what is otherwise the big news item of the week. And that's the NFL draft, which if we could only go back 5 years or so, would have taken a whole lot more time for us to go through.
I mean, we're at least going to have someone, hopefully, taken in the first round. I think, maybe, knock on wood, pray a little bit. Most mock drafts have Asante Samuel, defensive back, coming from the real DBU. He could be a first rounder. Obviously, he could go to New Orleans, could go to maybe Baltimore. Who knows? Maybe, God willing. You know, I think he's really the only chance we have to have a first rounder. And I think that shows where we are as a program, that we're saying maybe a first round pick. This is a chance. This is going to be a very light draft for Florida State. Logan, what are you hearing about Asante Samuel? Where do you think he's going to go?
I think the New Orleans is an option for him. I think he's really really late first rounder, early second rounder. I don't really expect him to go tomorrow. It would be kind of a surprise if he did, but you know what? He has had a good training and had a good pro day. His speed was one of the things that kind of shocked some of the scouts that were there, along with all the experts on Twitter. They were kind of shocked, and they were thought he did very well during his pro day. So Asante Samuel Jr. has also done very well in his interviews, talking with teams like the Steelers, my Pittsburgh Steelers, who indeed would love to get a guy like Asante Samuel Jr. if he's available in the second round. But that is by far, I think, the highlight for FSU of players going into this NFL draft. There is some guys in here that 2 years ago, we were expecting, a handful of first rounders, but injuries played a big part in these guys maybe lasting until the second or third day. You look at Marvin Wilson, who we thought immediately heading into the season, that is a potential top 15, top 10 pick. Now we don't even know if he's going to be going in the second round. We can't really confirm that right now. But really, Asante Samuel Jr., shout out to him. He's a guy that went through all these different staffs, stayed zoned in, dialed in, tunnel vision, and wanted to get to the league. He wanted to get paid. And he was able to work with the new staffs coming in. And you know what? Shout out to him. He's played well and obviously deserves every right to be, a first round or second round pick. And obviously, this weekend.
Obviously, he's a guy who comes from NFL lineage. His dad's Super Bowl champion. He played in the NFL. So I think he knows what to expect. Now, aside from the fact, Logan, that you believe every player is going to get drafted by your Pittsburgh Steelers, for those of you who read Logan's Twitter, at Logan Twitty, he obviously believes the Steelers are going to have 200 picks. Najee Harris is going to the Steelers. I think he figures out where Trevor Lawrence is going to somehow end up at the Steelers. You've got this whole list here. How many Florida State guys do you honestly see going in the draft? Hopefulness. What's your hopeful number and what's your realistic number?
Realistic number, you got Asante Samuel Jr. 1, Hamza Nasri number 2, Marvin Wilson number 3. I'm actually putting Janarius Robbins getting drafted number 4. Sure. Kando number 5 there, and then I feel like I'm missing somebody.
Tamarian Terry.
Who?
Tamarian Terry.
Yeah, Tamarian Terry. So 5. I think
that's 6. You think 6 Noles are going to get drafted?
I think at least 5, 6 max. 6, like if everything went well. But I do think Janarius Robinson is going to be a guy that is going to get picked just because of his athletic size. His measurements are incredible. We've known that since high school. He doesn't look like a human. He looks like a freak of nature. And so I think a defensive end coach, D-line coach is going to experiment with him and grab him and see if they can get him down, because the biggest thing for him is just staying consistent. And there's a lot of other things too with him, and having coaching, getting a little bit better coaching, I think would do big for a guy like him. But I think we might be a little surprised by how many FSU players get picked. I think Hamza Nasruddin, out of maybe all of these guys, is a steal. So whoever lands him, I would love for him to be in Pittsburgh. I think Florida State could utilize him, but that's just not going to happen. We just lost Mike Hilton. A guy like Hamza Nasruddin could be used, but whoever, I think the steal here is Hamza Nasruddin out of this class. So Asante Samuel Jr., we know what you get from him, but wavering between, you look at Marvin Wilson, Kane Janarius Robinson, and Hamza and Tamarion Terry, I think the steal between those guys is going to be Hamza Nasruddin if he's fully healthy, ready to go. And he showed signs of it last year, that he came back from injury and he was playing well. So Hamza Nasruddin, steal.
I just don't see Robinson getting drafted. I want him to get drafted. I legitimately do want him to get drafted. I don't think he has the game tape at this point to get drafted. I think he could be. I could be wrong. He could be a late 6th round, 7th round pick. Somebody takes a pick on him just to see what they can get. I think he's a good athlete. I think he would work hard if he gets on an NFL roster. I just don't think he has the real. The question for me is Tamarion Terry. Tamarion Terry has 2nd round talent, early 3rd round talent. But the question is, where is his mind at right now? Where is his head at? Can he be? I think he's going to be a 3rd day pick. I just don't see it right now. He's the one that concerns me. I think we talked about Marvin Wilson being disappointed, but that's the one that concerns me right there. I want to see who takes a pick on Tamarion Terry, because that's going to be the question mark for me, is who's willing to risk it after what I think was an inconsistent career at wide receiver.
Yeah, his mental game, it's been going on wavering the last 2 years. I'd say definitely in this last season, the new staff coming in, I think there was a lot of miscommunication there. And then we didn't get to see him for a lot of the rest of the season. It's really about mental. We know what he is on the field. He's faster with pads on. He's faster football wise than he is on just running a 40, which is scary. Those kind of guys, like, you go to Seattle, boom, that is a target that Pete Carroll would kill to have if that was an opportunity for them. But I think they're pretty fine at wide receiver, don't get me wrong, but those kind of steals that you can get, just really about, we know he's got the talents, the mental things that have really became a problem for him. And I don't know, I think is a 3rd round kind of guy. And I still think if his head is on straight and things are going well and he's focused and dialed in, he's a guy that could end up being the second behind Hamza, the other steal for most teams.
I mean, our 1st round pick is obviously going to be James Coleman. I mean, he's the 1st round pick right there.
There's some breaking news too that just dropped.
What just dropped?
Doak Campbell Stadium will remain the same. The name will remain the same. No changing happening to Doak Campbell Stadium.
Very interesting thing with that, I found out my favorite professor at Florida State, Dr. Maxine Jones, African-American woman, one of their top history professors, is the one who was in charge of the committee. And when they came out, said that there was no real reason to justify changing the name. It kind of caught me off guard when I read that.
Interesting.
Yeah, because based on our conversation here, even though it still had yet to be decided officially, I thought it was a done deal just based on your responses.
Well, I would like to say I'm disappointed, but I'm not. I'd like to say that I'm surprised, but I'm not surprised. I'll say it that way. Yeah.
I mean, it just depends on, like I said, the name. I mean, she went in and they were able to find some things where he did reach across. Like, well, he may have been a segregationist, but he did, do some things to try to help FAMU and help some other stuff. I guess they deemed the redeeming qualities, but honestly, it was a great opportunity to make money for Florida State, a school that could really use the naming rights deal. So, I mean, it's not like, but that's what you get when you name stuff after people. It's not revisionist history because it happened, but it's time change, and you learn of ills or you learn of stupid ass thought processes that you that aren't becoming, and then you have to change. Then you have to like kind of push it to the back, and do you want to put that in the forefront? Hopefully, it works out for the university, but that's just another tool that people will probably keep in their back pocket to use to recruit again.
Yeah. So James, not even looking at the morality or the right or wrong portion of it, just looking at it as a business decision, it's not a good decision from the standpoint you just brought up. That was a money-making opportunity. Number two, from the standpoint of, I would think that most people would have voted, given the opportunity, to change the name. Most Florida State alums, fans, however much you would want to broaden out that survey or poll, I would think.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the people that matter don't care. Like, are like, hey, fine, if this is what does it, but there's always that vocal minority. We have it with all this stuff. We have it here in Jacksonville right now, where basically the city council kind of voted in favor of renaming all the schools that are named after Confederate generals or Confederate people who are favorite to the Confederate flag. Now, granted, people believe that this is called revisionist history, like you're taking them out of books or you're like taking people's ability to actually learn about these people away. No, it's not. It's just taking away being honored for being honored for not being the greatest American or not being honored for a variety of different things. It doesn't mean that they go away when you talk about stuff, but when I look at Doak Campbell, to me, I'm a legacy guy, right? I want people to know that the MFTK philosophy of a lot of the stuff that I do in the community. Like, if I ever die and somebody wants to honor me, I hope they would honor me based upon what my legacy and what I live for. If I were a segregationist and I didn't want, races intermingling, I would not want to be named after a building that's literally rose to prominence off of races intermingling. It's literally doing the exact opposite of honoring what I stood for and what I lived for. On top of the fact, that's just the literal sense. On top of it, I think stadium naming rights got to be worth $5 to $10 million a year. I can't see a school that's behind Nebraska who's building another football-only facility who hasn't won since I was in grade school. Like, you've got Vanderbilt building stuff. You've got all these other schools in that you're competing with that are also getting bigger TV deals. Why is this the mountain or the hill that people want to climb, want to die on? Like, we can all agree, if nothing else, we can all agree, we could use another $5 to $10 million a year.
I'll say that. I'll say it like this: you had a convenient out to keep a certain segment of the fan base, certain segment of the population happy, and just name it Bobby Bowden Stadium. Just move Bobby Bowden's name up from the field, call it Bobby Bowden Stadium. It makes everyone happy. It makes all Florida State fans happy. He did more for that football program than anyone else. You had the easy name. If you don't want a corporate sponsor, if you don't want to sell out, that's fine. I get it. You had an easy name, and you didn't want to make the change. So it's the latest disappointing move from our administration and those in charge. It's not shocking. Not that I'm mad, just disappointed. You've heard that before, Logan, right?
I have. I've heard that saying. It's just a little outdated, but we'll let it slide.
We've heard it when you've disappointed your parents. It's okay. I get it.
And of course, the most disappointing news of the week concerning the Florida State family, and we wanted to hear from James on this, was the passing of Geno Hayes at the age of 33 to liver disease. So, James, we certainly wanted your thoughts and your take.
Yeah, something that I think the most I spoke on it was on First Coast News last night. That was just 3 to 4 minutes. I've lost quite a few teammates We've lost 2 since October. We lost October, right around Halloween. We lost Mario Henderson, played left tackle for us, for the Raiders and a few other teams. And then we lost Gino. Gino actually had been sick for a little bit. He was doing better. Went to the hospital earlier this year. It was going like regularly to check on himself, and then it just got bad. And it's one of those things where it'll bring a lot of me and my former teammates together, but we got to do stuff a little bit more often than when somebody passes. But Gino was an amazing football player, undersized linebacker that played way bigger than what he was, and I mean he brought it. In practice, he was banging. He was not afraid to hit anything. He was not afraid of competition. He wasn't afraid to run his mouth or speak his mind. Tebow kind of shut him up once, but you know that happens. Tebow shut a lot of people up, but Gino was a great father. A guy like me, who's one of my motivations is, even though I shouldn't have to, but I feel compelled to continue to defy and break stereotypes that people have by mainstream media and things like that. But Gino was definitely one of those guys, and a guy who did not think quite like everybody else, is a true intellectual. And that's not said enough when it comes to football players. But he was an amazing friend. I really missed and enjoyed our Dope Boy podcast. I was actually listening to a lot of them the last couple of days, and just the insight from guys who were on that field and making calls, and just even some of the sayings. Again, the world lost I lost a good friend, a good teammate. The world lost a good man, but more importantly, his wife, lost a friend, and then his 2 children lost a father, man. And that's the part that really irks me. Not irks, because it's nobody's fault, but that's the part that really bothers me more than anything else, because no matter what happened, these kids are still young, and they can't get back their father in those moments. And there's a son that's gonna grow up playing football that like his father, that's not gonna have his father to be able to give him the game and that wisdom. But that's where people gotta, if you're really a Gino Hayes fan, and just in football players in general, man, or not football players, just people you say you care about, find out how to support them and make sure that they're good. We do this with musicians, but there's no albums that we can go buy of Gino's. But like, make sure his fan. He's a Madison County legend. Make sure his fam is good. Make sure his people are good. And I'm gonna do that as a player, as a teammate. But give guys their flowers while they can smell them. Because even me, I gave it to him. I talked to my dog a lot. I always laugh, joke with him. I'll probably shed some tears when his funeral happens, but too often I'm gonna be honest with you. Don't go on Twitter capping about me if I die diabetic shock or something. No, bump that. Give me my I was about to curse for real. Give me my flowers where I can smell them. Like, them flowers don't do nothing. Those praises and adulations don't do nothing for me when I'm cremated and buried on my property, like as a flower or something. Let my kids know, let me know, let people know, and not just me. Like with Mark, like I talk about Mark, got one of the best YouTube channels. I say it every day. It's something I mean. I don't go and say it with Mark in here. Don't go and say no, Game Day is a dope enterprise, media enterprise, and not go subscribe to the Patreon and not retweet something and not see it. Don't talk about JPG like that. Like, give your people, let them know why they're here, because when they go, from what I understand, unless science is telling me different, they can't hear it.
James,
so that's my own take on Gino.
In the few times I had a chance to interview Gino during his freshman season, he seemed like somebody who was very humble about getting the opportunity to go from Madison County, small county in the Panhandle, to go to Florida State and then goes to a 7-year NFL career. I mean, he had a longer career than I think a lot of people ever thought he would be able to. Was he that same? You talk about how he wasn't afraid to speak, but did you see that same humbleness from him when he was on that team? That you saw somebody with that desire and that hunger?
Oh yeah, I mean, very like, humility shows itself in numerous ways. Like, he was very.
Uh-oh.
Hey, James, we lost you. Can you hear us?
Oh,
Hold on.
I think it's coming back.
we hear you. Live TV, everyone. Live TV here with Mark Rogers TV, the voice of culture.
Yeah, we're live.
We will hang out for James and pick it right up back with him once we get him back. And it looks like that may just happen.
There he is.
There you go.
James,
We're
we
back.
got you back, I believe.
My bad. Odell called me, so like
You're good. You're good.
Grace on that.
Wow.
I'll call
Wow,
him back.
Wow, name dropper. Okay. Wow. Okay.
Some of the benefits for being halfway decent. Your coaches remember you, but now you were saying about humility. I mean, he was crazy on the field, very braggadocious on the field. As far as somebody that you would just talk to about the privilege and the opportunity of being able to rock the garnet and gold or to make it out of his neighborhood, like, he was one of those guys. He was a guy that was going to give you free game, and he was going to tell you the truth about how he felt, whether you liked it or not. And I think that's what the world needs more of. I mean, like, humble people like to think that guys who hit people hard and then put their hand to pick them up, that those are the most humble guys. Those are some of the most arrogant people you'll ever meet in your life. They're just humble in the manner in which we've known to do. The humble guy is the guy that treats the people who could do the least for him the same as he treats the people that could do the most. And I will say that that's how Geno was. Geno was like a guy who, you could be selling waters outside, and he's gonna treat you like you popping bottles in VIP, like the guys who give you Ciroc bottles. That's just Geno was just that kind of guy. He was he treated everybody the same, gave everybody the benefit of the doubt, and loved on and made sure that they knew how important they were.
Rest in peace, Geno.
Absolutely. Rest in peace, Geno Hayes, 33 years old. And let's not let this live stream die in this video post without everybody, because this happens far too often, is that we see something on television that moves us, something speaks to our heart. We're in the moment, kind of captivated by it. And then the next shiny thing comes our way and we forget what we just heard. So let's not do that. Let's take some action on what James just talked about. And that may not be toward Geno Hayes. That may, and his family, that could be just anybody in your life that, again, that you can speak a word to, that you can help financially, that you can help by mowing the lawn or doing whatever you can do to help that individual that means a lot to you. So again, those are great words, but they only go as far as our actions.
Logan,
all right.
Logan, I'll babysit your brother next time. Fine, I'll do it for free.
I don't believe you're going to be doing that. I don't suggest it either.
I mean, I'm literally going to feed him sugar and just make him throw up all over.
Oh God, no!
So,
terrible idea. Terrible idea. I have freedom.
There you go.
We got Falcon ERX contributing through the ever mysterious super sticker, whatever that is. It sticks to the screen. He's got nothing to say, but Falcon ERX, we appreciate your contribution. We'll get to a few other ones coming up here, but both Logan and Jason had started in on the NFL draft with Asante Samuel coming off the board most likely first, and pretty much agreed Marvin Wilson was third. Who was going to be number two, most likely?
Nasruddin will probably be the second Knoll taken. But I guess the big question we have for you, James, was how many Knolls do you think? Logan says he thinks 6 are going to get drafted.
A max.
Max of 6. I think it could be around 4. How many Knolls do you see getting drafted in the 7 rounds?
I think we'll have 4. This I'm thinking Black Isis. Well, Asante Samuel first, then Ham's the biblical name, and then I think Janoris Robinson did enough between the senior day and then the pro day to be able to get himself drafted, then not combination. I don't think Marvin Wilson might not get drafted. I know that's crazy to say, but like if you really go back and watch his film from this year, it is bad, man. It is really, really bad. And it got nothing to do with him speaking out on Mike Norvell. It just has everything to do with he didn't play with him. Like, he stunk this year. But I don't think him and Tamara and Terry both don't get drafted. So one of those guys gets drafted, and I think that's where we're at.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, Marvin Wilson that was a terrible season, and, being off the field, that situation with his new head coach coming in and starting that miscommunication around the whole team and not arriving for workouts, and then the other half of the team wanting to be there. That obviously went into interviews, and I think Marvin Wilson has spoken on it a few times with other outlets, saying that he does regret on taking those actions because it did create a little bit of separation between its teammates. And obviously when you're studying someone like that, you don't really want to have that kind of maybe that kind of person in your organization. So I do think he's going to get drafted. I think Terry will too. The only two people that I think are the ones that we'll have to keep an eye out for is Kane Doe and Janarius Robinson. But I just think because of Janarius Robinson's physical attributes, and you got to think about it too, this NFL draft, we didn't get to really work with an official NFL combine, which really puts the map on for a lot of these smaller school players that get to see them in film and whatever. And a lot of scouts are able to go to these games and whatnot. It's going to be an interesting NFL draft. I think there's going to be a lot of surprises, but I think the main guys that were on TV, you got the Power 5 guys and some others, I think are going to get a better hand this year than maybe others. So I think
I'm going to come out and say it right now. Here's the bold draft prediction. Bold hot take for the draft.
Yeah.
Justin Fields has a better NFL career than Trevor Lawrence.
Well, that's not an NFL draft take. That's a NFL career take. We're going to have to get together in 15 years and talk it over.
It's an NFL. Well, we're going to do this show for 15 years. It's going to be FSU Seminoles Live 985. That's what we're going to have here. But I'm telling you right now, I don't think Trevor Lawrence has realized how horrible that situation is in Jacksonville. That's a god-awful situation that he's heading into. God-awful. Sorry, I know that James Coleman does stuff for the Jaguars, but that's a god-awful situation.
God-awful from the standpoint of current roster, coach, GM,
current roster,
across the board.
Lack of any improvement, any desire seemingly to want to improve. I'm sorry. That's a bad situation. Contract the Jaguars.
I think a lot of people take too much emphasis on the fact that they were a 1-15 ball club. I mean, they were a 1-15 ball club because they were competing to get the number one pick. Like, it wasn't like it was a certain point. You're like, all right, we got Gardner Minshew isn't the move, and they had been talking about Herbs for a minute. I don't necessarily think I agree with you. He may or not be the best, but I think a lot of people don't like the NFL is a weird league whereas all of a sudden 6 players get hot, and you've got a team that can obviously get you to the third round of the playoffs, like the Jags did in 2017. So I have no delusions of grandeur. I'm actually aggravated because I have to do draft coverage all day tomorrow. It was supposed to be my day off, but I got to throw in a suit and use big words and say guys have high ceilings and coach, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But I think the problem is that people are acting like Justin Fields all of a sudden became a terrible player. Like, I don't understand where that's coming from. Like, what I saw was for 2 years as a true starter, him consistently going out there, actually getting the best of Trevor Lawrence one year, and then the year when both of them went head to head, Trevor didn't get the best of him. If his receiver makes the right read on that route, Trevor's going home twice, and that's what I think people are failing to realize about Justin Fields. But that's because Zach Wilson there's always a new quarterback that comes up, and everybody really, really likes him, and for what that reason, if the San Francisco 49ers traded 2 first-round picks for Mac Jones, they're the worst. They're the worst franchise in the NFL, and they're going down fast. So, but we'll see. That's why they got to play the games.
But you know how you could be a true number 1 draft pick here with Mark Rogers TV and Local College Football? By hitting the like button. That's how you can hoist the jersey, hoist the hat. Right, Logan?
Yeah. Make sure you hit that like button. I can't say it enough. I've said it 90. How many times have I said it? 90. Or no, not 104. I've said it 104 times. Smacking that like button, I mean, it does wonders. It really might give you a magical experience tonight. Maybe when you're in bed, you'll have a magical experience happen out of nowhere. I can't confirm it. It's happened to me a few times. I will say it has happened to me a few times. So if you want to have a magical experience in your bed tonight, hit that like button. It's going to go everywhere. Hit the subscribe button, and really some crazy things might start happening. But hit that like button. Magical things are going to start going on in your life, and optimism and a lot of positive vibes. And also, what it also does is allows more FSU fans to see this live video. So, and I really do think Jason needs to hit that like button. If we're being honest, you need to be the one to hit that like button. Out of all
what the hell like button do you have that does that?
Trust me, it's been working.
We got something different going on.
It's been working, Mark, and I do got to thank you for that. I haven't really had my testimonial on it yet, but I'm telling you, the evidence and the proof that I can give you guys, man, that like button really does it all.
Oh man, we should be up to like 300 likes in a couple of seconds.
That's what I'm saying.
I know Mark's keeping this banner up here, so can Mark just thank this guy so we can get Lake School B's banner off here?
I make it a point to, of course, read off all the super chats, regardless of what's stated on the super chat. I think 1, maybe 2 times in the history of the Voice of College Football, I did not read it because of it being a bit sketchy. But with Phil B saying Doe Campbell Stadium forever, bunch of race baiting Miami fans in this chat. So let's be good in the chat. I haven't seen anything in particular, but let's be good.
Question though. Like, this is the question that I have, right? Because I see so many people passionate about it, right? Why? Like, why are so many people passionate about Doak Campbell? Like, Doak Campbell was a president of a university that was behind us getting the field where it was at. But why does it have such a strong attachment to a regular person? Like, why does it? Doak Campbell wasn't the one who rose our school to prominence. I mean, now I can see if somebody tried to remove Bobby out of field. That makes no sense. No matter what happens, if there was no Bobby Bowden, there would be no. But there was Florida State football. There was Florida State football technically before Doak Campbell. And Doak Campbell isn't the reason why you remember Florida State. I hear people say, the liberal, or they do all these different things. It's like people are too sensitive and yada, yada, yada. But why are you so sensitive that you keep it? Like, if it potentially prevents certain players that you kind of need to be good, if they get offended, who cares if Miami fans are race baiting or whatever? Why would you want that? Like, why, if you, like, unless you, I mean, like, if somebody can tell, like, Doak Campbell's like their great-great-great-granddaddy, or like, Doak Campbell was like one of the starters of Campbell Soup, and you really like tomato soup or something like that, like, don't understand why you never played, like, you never did any of these things. Like, why is that such a stick? Like, why do people feel like, again, I'm all curious to why certain hills people want to die on. I personally, as a guy who played under, I'm be honest, I really don't care. I think it should change, but if it doesn't, I'm not gonna lose sleep on it. But I don't have a passion to where no, it has to stay. I just don't get that. Like, why, with all these different issues that are going on in the world, why is that out of that?
Yeah. James, I was
curious.
James, I can answer this question in one sentence. We've got a lot of idiots in our fan base. That's just the bottom line. We have a lot of idiots in our fan base. We have a lot of people in our fan base who want to continue to live in the past and not move on. I've said this before. You're sitting there with a team that's 80 to 85% African American, and you've got that are playing in a stadium named after a man who said, "I don't want you in my school." It's clear and simple. If it's an offensive name, take it off. Make it Bobby Bowden Stadium. From now on, we should call it Bobby Bowden Stadium. In fact, here with Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, we are going to call it Bobby Bowden Stadium from this point on. Right, Mark?
You are going to call it Bobby Bowden Stadium. I'm not going to take a stand one way or the other. I took my stand off the top. So my stand is basically, I'm not an expert on the subject, but based on what I know, the right move to make, not just financially and from a business standpoint, I'm talking about from a moral standpoint, was to change the name of the stadium. Yes, for all the reasons you just cited. But if the name continues to be Doak Campbell Stadium, I will most likely have Doak Campbell Stadium roll off my tongue once in a while, I would think. I'm not going to be setting some kind of rule for myself, but I will probably more or less say they've got a home game or they're playing in Tallahassee this week, but I'm not going to make a rule for myself. But Jason, certainly if you would like to do that, that's great.
Bobby Bowden Stadium at Mark Rogers Field. That's what we're going to call it.
Okay. Now, if we make that change, then I can buy into that one.
Now, fans, this is the point of the show we've been waiting 4 days for. This is the point of the show where Mark Rogers is going to piss off Miami fans and Florida fans simultaneously. It's the moment.
That was a quick transition.
Mark Rogers, take it away. You're going to do what I've done for 94 weeks, 95 weeks. You're going to do what Logan does when I'm not here. It's your turn, buddy. Do it.
Well, I believe what Jason's alluding to is that I was asked a few nights ago on a call-in show. This was neither a Miami nor a Florida State show. Somebody asked me to rank the three programs all time, meaning Florida, Florida State, and Miami. And I stated first and foremost that it was a difficult call. And then I went through all the various tangible items that I think are relevant to me and most people when rating programs. And I also think that there's a descending scale of weight, meaning I'm not one of those people that discounts a national championship from 1935 and says it doesn't count, it doesn't matter, only things after 1980 count. But I also don't believe that they're, for obvious reasons that I don't need to go into, that the 1935 national championships as credible as the 2015 national championship. So I think there's a balance of the two there. But in weighing the three programs, which certainly have brought the most to the table post 1980 by far, especially Florida State and Miami, that based on, once I went through all the variables and the highs and lows of the three programs in the last 40 to 50 years, that Florida State, based on consistent excellence, I believe, edges out Miami amongst those three programs, with Florida third.
I couldn't agree more. I think you're 100% correct. I don't say that often, but on this one, you are 100% correct. I will say this. Florida is the more consistent one out of the three. And we talked a little bit about this before the show. Florida was the team in the 40s, in the 50s, in the 60s was a, they'd go 5-4-1. They'd go 6-6-4. They were always that consistent team that just couldn't get over the hump. Into the 70s, into the 80s. It wasn't until the 90s when Florida finally, when Steve Spurrier comes back and Florida becomes a national power to that rank. Florida State, Miami's problem is that while Florida State was very good in the 60s under Bill Peterson, was very good in the late 80s, in the 90s, in the early 2000s under James Coleman, during that time, for all those good times, we were god-awful in the 70s. We weren't good towards the last part, the last half decade, 2006 through 2009. We've been god-awful the last 4 seasons. Miami was god-awful in the 70s. They had their downhill slide in the 90s when they first went on probation. They had 2 losing seasons, 2014, 2007, 2014, 2019. They had losing seasons. So when we've been great, we've been great. When we've been bad, we've been bad. That's why Florida fans are going to say, oh, we're better because we've been consistent. But you were consistently great. That's where I think Florida You also look at the fact Florida didn't go to their first bowl game until after their 45 seasons. I believe it was their 45th or 46th season of playing. Florida State went to a bowl game in our 4th season. Miami went to a bowl game in their 10th season of playing. So I would say I would agree with you. I think Florida State would be number 1, Miami a close number 2, and Florida number 3.
And I even state that knowing that the two most obvious metrics that people run to are head-to-head and national championships, and Miami has a 35-30 lead, I believe, is the number over Florida State, and it has the national championship count 5-3. But I still am going with FSU.
Miami, though, had a great 10-year run. You could say from the 83 season to the 92 season, they had arguably the greatest 10-year run in college football history. 4 national titles, played in 2 more national title games, losing those. So 6 out of 10 seasons you're playing for a national title, that's pretty damn good. Florida State had a 5-year run from 96 to 2000 where they played for the national title 4 times. That's also pretty damn good right there. Obviously, we didn't, turn out so well. We only won 1 of those, but still, that's a damn good run right there. So I think that I get why Miami fans would want to put Miami number 1. I understand it. I could think it's a toss-up either way. I feel like Miami was worse than we were in the 70s. Bogdan came in at a time when Miami was still talking about getting rid of their program. In 76, 77, 78, Miami was a bad program at that point. So that's why I give Florida State a slight advantage.
I find it really intriguing that Miami and Florida State emerged at the same time, almost to the year. Of course, Florida State about a year or 2 before. Miami had their first big year in 1980. Of course, everyone remembers 83 for the national championship. But even in 1980 with Jim Kelly, that's when they became nationally relevant, top 10 to 15 team in the country. So they both rose out of nowhere from like the ashes of it being all Notre Dame, Michigan, Alabama, Ohio State, Oklahoma all the time to suddenly, boom, you got these 2, and where'd they come from? And then they stayed there. But to your point, Jason, it's also intriguing to me that Miami basically has a 20-year football history. They have like roughly 1980 to 94, they played for the national title, and then they popped up around 2000 for about 4 years, and that's their legacy. Everything else doesn't matter.
James, what are your thoughts on that one? Because I know you're somebody who is part of it more than the rest of us, but you also have, you were recruited by these different schools. If you had to rank them in order, where would you rank them?
All right. Here's I think I like the way Mark broke it down. When I look at a program that's been playing since 1911, if I'm correct.
Florida, 1906 was Florida's first season.
Okay. They've been playing for well over 100 years, and you got 3 national championships. And you've been in a conference you're in now since 1933. When I look at Miami, Miami has 5. That's very superior teams. Chief, that's not me saying anything. You got put on probation. They're not putting people on probation for good behavior. Typically, it's bad behavior. But when I look at consistency and what you talked about, and I'm going back, so I had to go look at these things. Florida State just had its worst season in 43 years?
1975.
43, 44 years?
75 was our worst, was the last one, yes.
So that's when we went defeated? But we didn't win a game?
We went 3-8 in 75. So that was our last. Right. So that was the worst season before that. Yeah.
It took a long time for us to have that, and even what we call, this is why I laugh. What we call the lost decade, you had opportunities in the last month of the season to still win your conference championship. You're still playing in major bowl games. Your lost decade just means you're not playing for national championships. Our lost decade, Florida would have had 3 of those. during the course of that same time span. Miami would have had numerous lost decades. So when you talk about 40 years, 40 winning seasons, 36 straight bowl games, those are feats that will probably never be accomplished again. We're talking about how good 15 straight years in the top 3 or top 5? Top 5?
14, top 5. Top 5.
Whatever it is. I think a couple of them, the reason why they have to say top 5 is because we were 4 in some of those. And a lot of them were, if we were in the if we had the BCS then, Bobby plays for numerous national championships. God forbid we had the PIP system. Bobby never doesn't play in a playoff. It's the reason why I still hold him in high regard to Nick Saban. It's because a lot of things were held to the disadvantage of Florida. And you're playing some of the best of the best. So when I'm looking at, when Florida State was independent, like your schedule, people, the vaunted SEC, but you're not going in and playing the best team in the Pac-12 or Pac-10 then. You're not playing the best team in the Big 8 at that. You're not playing the best team in the Big 10. You're not consistently playing one of the quote-unquote top teams in the SEC and the top team in the Big East year in and year out. If Florida State would have actually probably been in a conference like the SEC, it would have made their schedule some of these years easier. In fact, a few of those years, Bobby played 2 teams in the SEC and whooped their ass, if I remember correctly. My point, when you look at how the programs were built, you look at how consistent they were, it's a miracle that Florida State was even in the position they were in with Bobby. So that's the only reason, I'm actually a fan of all the rivalries. I really don't like Florida. I'm a fan of Miami, but the problem is when Miami was down, they were down, right, wrong, or indifferent. And right now, even so with Miami, they'll argue the 5 rings. But your last ring was in the 2001 season. Like, a lot of guys have over half most of their adult life you don't know of Miami in the like you're having to read history books about how good Miami was. But you can regurgitate a lot of Miami can regurgitating stats that they didn't live. And I think that's where you have to come in. Like, at least Florida can still ride the Tebow wave a little bit because it was an amazing run. They were really, really good. Florida State, 2013 feels like forever ago. But these are the things that you got to look at. Totality, even up at the current.
Logan, this is your chance, Logan. This is what you've been waiting for. This is your graduation present. Ripping on Florida and Miami at the same time.
Oh my God, y'all have way more knowledge than me.
So rip them.
Yep.
This is your Hanukkah, Christmas, Kwanzaa, Thanksgiving, Halloween, New Year's, everything all in one. Go.
Oh man, my thoughts on this is that Florida State is. Do we have a time range in there? Is there all time between Florida? All time, and we're doing Miami or Florida, or just both. Miami? Both.
Logan's not been listening to this entire conversation. What if he?
I thought this whole time that it was between James and Jason in the DMs earlier, so that's why I was like, well, I'm letting them.
No, Logan, stop hitting the like button and answer the question.
I'm trying to hit it a lot. People in the comments are saying that Jason needs to hit it 1,000 times if that's true about the bed experience.
Apparently, man.
I'm trying to help Jason out, but I need more time. I need to be out of Jason's age, and not saying that not of an old thing, but at least from since I've been alive, it's really been, Florida's stayed the most consistent, and Miami's had really, in my time, it's had small little moments, and it's been down. Florida State's been that second team in the state that's of the big 3 that has shined, and then now, the last couple of years has had its worst kind of experiences with opponents, but really right now, if we're speaking right now, Florida's the most consistent team in the state. I don't think, I really still don't believe in like where Miami's going in its trajectory. I think not really too much of a belief in what their head coach and who they have right now. I really don't think it's gonna be. I just don't. I don't believe fully in it. Even who they're recruiting, and the talent that they're bringing in, I still don't feel fully confident in them and being I still think Florida State's going to beat them in that race of coming back and being one of the top dogs and leading the state. I just don't believe Miami's heading in that direction. Whereas I believe right now in Florida State and the staff that they have and the belief and the process that Norvell's putting together. So.
Incredibly disappointed. You had a chance to go off the top rope, just straight up elbow dive, just right on both of our rivals, and you didn't take it.
This is not Logan's deal. This is just not his. He's got other areas where he excels. This is not the historic is not it.
Yeah, historic. The thing is, like, I got to go in and study a lot of these things because I could say something and be really stupid. Or I could just be like, let the people that have way more knowledge than me give their take.
It's not that we're mad, just disappointed, Logan. That's the second time I've had to point this out to you, that you're disappointing. You're disappointing your dads here.
If this was an NFL argument, Super Bowl championships and winning percentage would hold for me a ton more weight. But the national championship picture has been subjective forever. It's the least subjective now, but throughout history, there's all sorts of issues, which has caused me to produce like 7 or 8 videos talking about disputed national championships in college football. And even to James' point about winning percentage, it has a lot to do with your schedule.
Your Super Bowl is wrong, Mark. You're wrong there.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot tell me Brad Johnson was a better quarterback because he has more Super Bowl rings than Dan Marino. You cannot tell me that.
I'm not talking about rating players. I'm talking about the validity of winning a Super Bowl for a team.
Super Bowl's overrated. Yeah, I said
it's not overrated. I'm not equating it to players' performance. I'm equating it to comparing franchises. A franchise that says the New England Patriots can say we won 7 Super Bowls, or I guess they won 6. Brady left, of course. But there's a lot of weight to that. That's not the end of the conversation. But if the Patriots say we won 6 Super Bowls and the Cleveland Browns 0, well, that's a pretty good indication of how good they've been.
No.
Versus national championships in college football are sketchy.
Trent Dilfer and Brad Johnson can't hold Dan Marino's jock. That's all I'm going to say. You can't hold his jock. Dan Marino, greatest quarterback ever.
Joe Thomas played left tackle for the Cleveland Browns and is one of the greatest in history and will be a first ballot Hall of Famer. He never played in a playoff game. That doesn't mean he's no good. It means the team sucked.
Because your Browns suck. That's the difference. Miami has the Dolphins, the greatest football team. Just listen to that song.
All right. I don't even know where we stand on time here.
Here's a question for the fans. Next week,
just about there.
For next week's show, May 8th, yours truly, Jason Parker, gets to interview Logan's favorite coach, Mike Norvell.
Oh, yeah.
So I want you to give your contributions. Give us your questions that you want me to ask Mike Norvell. I'm not saying that I will ask them, but I want to hear some of the fans. I want to hear what you want me to ask Mike Norvell.
Okay, I've got to catch up with some super chats, but that is a great point. Let's get to your questions to Jason, who's going to interview Mike Norvell May 8th. It's good stuff.
Logan, you want to come down and hold the mic?
Oh, I would most certainly love to. And I really wanted to shout out these Miami fans. I put out a tweet yesterday, and once again, they didn't really come after me that much. And it's really, really disappointing because that's what they feed off on is Twitter and them trying to fight over the stupidest things. But once again, I put out a tweet about Dalvin Cook and them, having nightmares about him and just really weak. And nobody really coming after me, no threats or anything. They give so many threats to Jason, but not to me on Twitter. I'd really wish they'd step it up. Maybe I'll give them. I have one ready for them next week too. I got a whole couple things in drafts. I'm trying to rile them up, but I just don't think they want to tweet at me. They're all in the chat over here. Shout out to the YouTube chat. They're a little bit more, troll. They have some fun, but y'all got to get y'all's Twitter game up.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, guys. Start going after Logan more.
Yeah. It's pretty weak.
Khalil, I disagree with your top two. Yeah, I would say 08 Florida was probably Florida's best team, even though they lost to Ole Miss.
Oh, shoot. Hold up. Breaking news. Florida State just received 4-star quarterback A.J. Duffy commitment. Breaking news on the show right now as we speak.
Beep, 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 beep.
Do we have a take on him?
Breaking news. Do we have a lot of takes?
Yes.
There's
He's the
a
best
lot of
quarterback
takes.
QB1 right now.
Yeah, that is QB1. He takes over, well, more talented than Nico Marco, who's also committed in this 2022 class.
Very cool.
Nico's
Awesome
there.
to get that in. Let me handle these super chats here. So Jason had spoke to this one. Khalil, we will catch up with this matter. We want to honor your super chat. Thank you so much for that. We will dive into this. We've got a full summer of less than a lot of news to talk about. Top 5 teams between the 3 Florida schools. Okay. Also, which means which teams would you guys put in the top 5 Florida State teams ever, all 3 schools, et cetera, et cetera. Thank you so much for that. And he's got his list, which Jason responded to. We also have another super chat.
I'll give the 86 Canes probably number 5 spot. I'd give 86 Canes.
You just hate Florida State landing a really good quarterback right in front of Miami fans and Florida fans and Clemson fans like this, but it doesn't get any better, to be honest.
Yeah, that is.
Logan, how many beers have you had tonight?
Not enough, but it's time to shine now.
Let's get
That's perfect timing.
The numbers on him. Absolutely. We got AJ Duffy, IMG Academy, Bradenton, Florida. Who knows where he's from originally? Is he from Florida?
He's from Moreno Valley, California. Went to Rancho Verde High School. He transferred to IMG Academy for this upcoming season after his junior year was wiped out due to COVID. As a sophomore at Rancho Verde, he led the team to an 11-1 record, Section 2 title in the CIF, whatever the hell that means. He threw for 2,568 yards, 26 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions.
10th rated player in the state, 6th rated pro style quarterback in the nation, number 76 player overall, which is it's up there.
At IMG Academy. The Fighting Ascenders.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right.
Logan's got his breaking news on. Let's give Logan a little round of applause for the breaking news tonight.
Well, that was just straight up on the socials over here. I knew there was something creeping at around 6:30, and then I've been peeled to my phone, and I didn't think it was going to be true or not, but it sure enough was.
If anyone knows about creepy things, it's Logan Robinson from Logan.
That is true. That is absolutely correct. And can we get a word on Miami's quarter? Jake Garcia? Who? He's going to it. I'm just trying to wonder because I'm seeing Jake Garcia. We have Jake Garcia. Is it just something not really?
Let's give Miami quarterbacks their due. Let's give them their legitimate due. Shout out to N'Kosi Perry transferring to FAU today. Shout out to that.
Yep, absolutely. Hanging out with your favorite friend Willie Taggart down at FAU.
Shout out to Willie Taggart. Absolutely.
Shout out to Billy Black and a one Walt Baby Bell for the Super Bowl.
I'd like to give a shout out to Logan. I want to give a shout out to Logan and James for giving shout outs. I can see Mark's head is about to explode with all the shout outs here.
Maryland, Jacksonville, Florida, Mike Norvell youth camps. They're all over the state. Go check it out. It's free to kids. I believe at 2nd grade to 8th grade. So, be a great opportunity just to get some kids some reps. Go train, go get better. They'll be in Miami area too, so you can go.
Hence why I'll be
It's a
interviewing.
great opportunity. If you're as bold as you are behind your screen, go let your kid go practice and play. Then you get to heckle and do all those different things from behind. But just guys know that's there.
I'm just gonna say, if you look at social media, one of the big names who's promoting it down here at the Miami camps is Luther Campbell. So You know, he knows a good thing when he sees it. He knows the sinking ship is at Miami. He's coming over to the FSU. So come on, guys.
Well, cool. Always a pleasure, gentlemen.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Good job, guys.
Thanks, big
Thank
game.
you. Yes.
James, thank you, Logan.
Thank you, everyone.
That was, of course, James Coleman. Catch him on Fifth Quarter College Football, Sports Den Live. Then you got Logan Robinson, Noel Game Day, Jason Parker, NBC 6.
God, Logan, just look at the camera, please. There we go. Thank you. God.
You can see my face. It's so high, I can't fix it.
People
It's
want to
radio on TV. That's kind of the look Logan's going for.
Logan's like the little brother that my parents left at a firehouse back in 1996 or whenever he was born.
I know it, right?
Seriously.
I'm a sicko.
You are. You're disturbing.
I can't get off my phone. There's too many things happening at once.
Well,
All right, folks out there.
Go hit the like button.
We appreciate everybody stopping by.
Yeah. Smack the like button before you leave. Smack the like button.
Smack it.
Get it
80
done.
people, 53 likes. We can get this thing to 60. Get it to 75. Run it up.
Logan, are you guys up to 1,000 subs?
Not yet. We haven't uploaded a video in a minute. So
All right.
I need to get some videos up. We're not at 1,000 yet. Got
Folks,
a ways
let's get
to
on
go.
over to Noel Game Day right here on YouTube. Sub up. Get him to 1,000.
Yeah, come on over here. Come. We'll even take a few Miami fans. I'm trying. That's the thing. Kind of tick some people out and they come watch you more. It works. It works. Well, these Jake Pauls, these Logan Pauls. I mean, Logan Paul's fighting Floyd Mayweather.
He's going to get murdered.
I know, but I'll get murdered or punched a lot to bring in that money.
Come down and hold the mic for us. It's down here in Miami.
Bye, fools. But say bye to him, Jason. Insane Kane. What a cool rhyming name that is. Insane Kane. Very creative. You should take a creative.
Creative and appropriate. Looks like it's the truth.
I'm just letting you guys take Miami off. I'm taking the week off from making fun of Miami. This is your week, guys.
Well, then you're back
We did
at
our
it.
best. We
Yeah,
didn't hit your
back.
standard. We didn't hit your bar, but we tried. All right, folks. Next Wednesday night, be back here, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, Florida State Seminoles live. In the meantime, Logan on Noel Game Day. And, of course, Jason's going to be doing his fine work there at NBC 6.
Yeah.
I'll be back here at 8 o'clock in just an hour taking phone calls. So I'll get into some fights then, I'm sure, as well.
Eventually, we're going to do it. Eventually, we will.
Oh, God.
That's right.
Could
We
be it.
decided that a few weeks ago. We'll
Yep.
get to it.
We are. We're going
All
to.
right, everyone.
It's going to end badly.
Adios. Everybody have a good night.
Later.